Welcome to Earful of Dirt and Lineouts, episode 3. Our second episode was at Newcastle v. Saracens on the ground, so this is our second live interview on Google Hangout. And today I've got Ryan Fitzgerald, the GM of NOLA Rugby. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on, Aaron.
So I always like to, like I said, in our conversations on the phone, lineouts is where we do like interesting things and not just MLR stuff. So I'd like to get into your background. So when did you start playing rugby?
So my first year of rugby was right in junior year of high school up in Wisconsin. So that was 2001. I went to Muskego High School, which is I'm originally from Wind Lake, Wisconsin. Muskego High School, just outside, about 20 minutes away from Milwaukee. So got into it and didn't really know anything about it. Played football my whole life. Played all sports. And then in the springtime, one of my buddies came up to me and said that we had our high school had a rugby team, and didn't know what about. Was like I said, didn't know really too much about it, but it was better than running track. So to stay in shape. And obviously, played that first season there, my junior year of high school, and the rest is history. Just been hooked on it ever since. So
awesome. So in our previous conversation, you said you were in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
Did you play rugby while in the Marine Corps?
I did from time to time, as best you could at Camp Lejeune. But when we were in infantry battalion, during the war and everything that, it wasn't exactly like you could leave, for rugby. So between deployments and stuff, you could here and there, but it was mostly just tournaments and stuff. Had to take a little bit of a hiatus from competitive rugby just because of that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know exactly what that's like. While playing rugby in the Army, we'd go on exercise for about 6 weeks and
right.
It's like 4 games. So
right. Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to for sure. I was in from 03 to 07, and like I said, that was just between deployments and stuff, and a lot of the workups, as and everything like that. It's a lot of workups. A lot of what was going on with the war in Iraq. That might have been some tournaments here and there you could get into, and did some tournaments back home, and went to the Lakefront Sevens tournament back home in Milwaukee and stuff time to time. But as far as consistent competitive rugby, it was hard with between the tours. So
when you were announced as the general manager and rumored, or however it was, I saw it on This American Rugby, and I looked you on LinkedIn, and I saw you were a scout for the Senior Bowl.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Third year scouting with the Senior Bowl. Always just been kind of fascinated with the whole process of scouting. It's been kind of, two jobs that kind of wanted my whole life, between the Marine Corps and scouting, obviously as a kid growing up, you always thought football because before I knew anything about rugby, and then obviously, NFL having a bigger platform at the time than, rugby. But just 3 years ago, just started writing letters. To all NFL teams and colleges. And just trying to get a crack in, just try to get anywhere you could, side job, intern level type stuff. And actually got a lot of letters wrote back and everything from a lot of GMs, and a lot more than you think. A lot of people say you're wasting your time. I think if I had to give one piece of advice, I'd say that's untrue. A lot of people, they do not, especially at the NFL level, they're fanatical about, not letting, any rock go unturned. I mean, they turn them all over and check everybody out, So Phil Savage, who was the director of the Senior Bowl, used to be the general manager of the Cleveland Browns. He was with the Baltimore Ravens for about 15 years, has a Super Bowl ring with them. He's also the color commentator right now from Alabama. I got a phone call from a 251 Mobile, Alabama number, and he asked me if I still was interested in being a scout. And I said, yeah, absolutely. Yes, sir. And drove up to Mobile and had a long lunch with him, sat down. And so for the past 3 years, I've had the state of Louisiana, a little bit outside that, had Mississippi State and Houston, the Houston area as well. And it's been awesome. Met some unbelievably great guys. I also got a chance to, do training camp with Miami Dolphins last year. So I was in camp with them. And then this year, in the spring, I was able to do rookie camp as well with the Cowboys. So it was you know, like I said, great experience. You see what it takes at the NFL level. You see unbelievable amount of talent that gets you know, comes up short, and you know, the amount of, you know, just like I said, the amount of skill set, speed, height, weight, everything, the whole nine, what it takes to be in the NFL and just play at that level. It's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, so I was definitely interested in seeing that, and I thought it was great because you're a, you know, by trade now, you're a personnel evaluator. So whereas you get into general rugby overseas, and most of your directors of rugby all have a coaching background,
right?
While also basically having to figure out personnel in addition to developing coaching staff. As it is both, so it makes it interesting.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's yeah, you know, I mean, it's great, you know, from here being, you know, playing rugby for 17 years, you know, and you know, and also, you know, with football and being able to kind of tie them in, and then, you know, being right here in New Orleans and playing on our, you know, our New Orleans team for 8 years here. It's been great to have that crossover. And, you know, with football and everything that too, with the NFL, like I said, it's just great to see, you know, the two sports are obviously different, but at the same time, it's, you know, at the end of the day, there's a lot of skill sets that translate over between, you know, this feet, hips, you know, just the athletic ability, the toughness, size, playing with leverage, all that stuff, the fitness level, all that stuff definitely overlaps on both sports. And it's, you know, it's very interesting to see how, you know, kind of compare them both.
Definitely. I like that approach that you talked about in a Yahoo article and in one of our phone conversations, that you basically pay attention to these guys that don't get drafted or are looking at something else directly out of college, but Division I fitness level is, you know, amazing, and we're looking to push choice athletes into rugby.
Right. Yeah, I just think too, Aaron, you know, I think there's enough to go around. You know, I wanted to make that clear, you know, in that article as well and everything. You know, you know, I don't think it has to be don't play football, play rugby, or play rugby, don't play football. I think that there is enough to go around. There's only 32 teams in the NFL. You know, there is, like I said, going to these camps, you see some unbelievable players that are maybe first string, you know, he might have been first team all Big Ten linebacker, you know, and he's getting cut, not making the team. Now he's a 22-year-old kid, and he's an unbelievable athlete. He's in the best shape of his life. He has the toughness. He has all the tools, the whole nine. And, you know, the NFL might have told him no, or maybe the CFL told him no. You know, why not, instead of just, you know, hanging up your boots and going to work somewhere, go get your job, why not, you know, still try to translate that and see if you can bring it over to another sport, you know? Like I said, I don't think it has to be one or the other. I love both sports, played both sports my whole life. I don't think it has to be pick one. I just think there's an incredible amount of skill set and incredible amount of athletes right here in the United States, especially, you know, like I see it all the time. I'm originally from Wisconsin. Like I said, being down here in the state of Louisiana, I mean, it's fascinating how many athletes are in this area, you know, and you go around to rosters all over the country and you'll see guys from New Orleans on a football roster, Arizona State, A&M, wherever it's at, and at the NFL level as well. So why not, you know, if a guy comes up short at the NFL level and you're 22 years old and you're still running a 4.4 40 or 4.5 40, you know, and you're still bench pressing the house, well, why does your athletic days have to be over? And I think that's you know, I think rugby can bring a great avenue for that, you know, another vehicle to keep on playing.
Yeah, I definitely think that recruiting choice athletes to play and learn professional rugby up front, that's a short-term solution to gain market share over time, because you've listened to what Mike Friday has to say, and he's talking about being complementary and not competing with, say, football and, you know, certain sports in certain areas, because you can play football in the fall.
Yeah. And, you know, and listen, I don't think that these guys have to – I'm not saying that these guys that they're done playing football at the University of Nebraska, for example, and all of a sudden they're 22 years old and a year later they're playing in the World Cup against the New Zealand All Blacks. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that these guys – there's some phenomenal athletes out there, and at the end of the day, a lot of athletes find a way to make it work. And with the right coaching and the right skill set and the right academies and the right program, it can go that. I'm not just saying being 22 years old and hanging up football and you just got done playing in front of 100,000 fans against Alabama or LSU, and now you're going to go out and play touch. You know, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about taking a guy that is that level and now putting him and feeding him into – he's already got the athletic ability and the size and the speed and the talent, and now putting him into an elite academy or a program here in the United States, you know, one MLR academy, and really good coaching and a professional level with the professional facilities, you know, and the gym and the weight room and, you know, ice baths and hot tubs and, you know, having an athletic trainer just like they did at LSU or just like they did at Alabama or wherever they played at. And I think eventually we could, you know, you start seeing some progress. And if you get some big name athletes coming across, or if you just start getting, like I said, it can be both sports playing at the same time is what I say.
Because, I mean, we've seen it on the Eagles level with Cam Lyle. I mean, he didn't play rugby ever until he got recruited to go over to England.
Right.
And, you know, he was an NFL prospect back in the early 90s, and he made a choice to play rugby, and then he played at a very high level for almost a decade.
Yeah.
So it's definitely possible.
Yes.
But sometimes it concerns me that certain folks in the rugby space say that the game is too difficult, whereas if an individual is playing rugby day in and day out for a year, and he's an elite athlete, and he absorbed an Alabama playbook, he's probably going to be able to pick up rugby.
Right. Yeah, that's like I said, you know, like I said earlier, you know, rugby can be a complex sport. Absolutely. So can football. You know, there's a lot of people that watch football every day and don't know what they're watching. They don't know the difference between cover 2 or cover 3 or, you know, a zone blitz or, you know, whatever it is, you know. So, you know, I'm not, like I said, not saying a guy can come over and the next day he's starting on, you know, USA and he's playing against the All Blacks. No, but do I think that, you know, there's enough athletes out there in the world with the right coaching and the right talent and the right academy and the right channels that, you know, we could have a lot of crossover athletes, you know, absolutely. And it doesn't have to be crossover athletes. It can be not playing football and rugby at the same time. You can be like, hey, your football days are done. You know, you're 23, you're undrafted, the CFL didn't want you, the NFL didn't want you. You know, you're in the best shape of your life. That's always the hard part too. It's not always, you know, teaching a guy a skill set, teaching a guy how to make a pop pass, ruck, all that stuff. That can, you know, that can kind of be the easy part. Teaching a guy to be 6'6" and 250 and he can run, that's the hard part. That's just kind of, you know, God-given ability, you know. So I think that there's, you know, a way that, you know, they can cross over and overlap and help each other, you know.
And so we're talking NOLA academies, and I know that's not the beginning in year one. Not every franchise is going to have an academy. How far along is New Orleans going towards that process?
Yeah, well, I think we, in a lot of ways, already have one group, you know, one going is, well, you know, between our youth program that's coming up to the high school program, and then we still have our New Orleans, you know, New Orleans Rugby Club that's been here since 1973. That'll be playing still at the regular men's level. Eventually, all those things going forward can feed, you know, into the MLR club, you know, so you can kind of already have that. And then in the off season, and as we go throughout the course of the year, we'll be recruiting obviously throughout the course of the year, just like they do in the NFL. As the NFL is playing, there's scouts on the road scouting for the next draft and for the next level. So we'll be scouting as we go. And as our season's going on this spring, we'll be on the road going after, you know, at colleges and at high schools recruiting for, you know, our academy and getting down to New Orleans, and whether it be right into the academy full time or be, you know, the old fashioned way of getting them down here and getting some work in, and, you know, also getting some academy time and, you know, kids going to school down here, whatever it is, and eventually leading and channeling towards that, you know, academy and towards our, you know, our men's team and eventually into our NOLA Gold side. So I think, you know, having that, you know, men's club that we've had here since 1973, having that old boy network that we've had that have been unbelievably awesome supporters, and having the guys that have come here for the past 40 years and play, I think that is just keeping the momentum rolling, you know, right up to the MLR level.
So how did you get approached by Tim Falcon to help build this thing? You know, be a general manager for a brand new franchise in a totally different league.
Right. Yeah. The whole thing. Yeah. I've had the privilege of, I've known Tim since I've been down here for 8 years. I played, about 100 some games probably with Jared, the middle brother, Jared Falcon. We, been on the 2011 national championship team together and a couple of the Final Fours, including playing against Life and as well as Cameron behind him and Brennan. So I've known the Falcon family for the past 8 years and playing down here. And it was just kind of perfect timing as well with myself having the 3 years under my belt with the Senior Bowl and kind of getting some good resources and getting to know a lot of the high schools and colleges in the area between, for scouting at the football level and having kind of trying to train the eye or, starting to have, training your eye as far as the scouting at the, at the NFL level and having that experience. And then also have, been played with rugby. It was just kind of perfect timing when Tim approached me in February saying that he acquired an MLR team and we're going forward from here and asked me to come on board and we worked it out. And so far it's been, it's been nothing. Every day has just been awesome. I mean, it literally has just been really, really awesome working with Tim daily, working with Nate, working with Todd on a daily basis, just building this thing. And the momentum is really starting to build. And it started back in, I came on board in February and I've, I can't say enough good things about it. It's really, really exciting times.
So going back to, say, February, around that time was the major rugby championship and NORA FC Division 1 was playing in Manhattan.
Right.
And we saw some sideways scores.
Yeah.
So you've brought in a new coaching staff for the year, for the new franchise.
Right.
How much different is the team going to be? Because many people thought originally that the MLR was just going to be further extensions
right.
of, those teams. They would still be the same names, but now everyone has established a separate organization but maintain relationships.
Yeah, I saw that in the spring. Some of the stuff that you saw, some of the buzz that you saw, the names and some of the scores and everything. And, as you probably know from men's level, as long as you play, long enough at men's level, things kind of, people come, teams come and go. We get hot for a good stretch there from 2011 to 2014. Excuse me. We had, 4 straight years of Final Fours and 2 national championships. You get hit a little bit by retirement eventually. Guys, at the men's level, at the amateur level, guys get married, guys move on, guys get real jobs. Guys, and that's, kind of a transition. So this past spring with MRC, when that kind of happened, it was a lot of transition. A lot of guys were kind of in between in their way out. That was not our NOLA Gold roster. There's obviously a couple guys in the mix that were still in the mix, but that kind of came up quickly. Like I said, we just kind of, I brought on in February, Tim acquired in February, and it was just kind of a transition right there at the time. But, so it wasn't really like we didn't necessarily bring on a whole new coaching staff and we have a lot of the same core guys. It was just kind of needed to kind of reload it a little bit there because, like I said, got kind of hit by retirement as far as our core group of guys for a while and colleges finishing up and everything. So now we were full throttle, obviously, into MLR, and we were full throttle into getting guys down here, signing guys, bringing on board. Momentum couldn't be higher. And, it's really a positive direction, like I said. So, yeah, that spring was more of a, you probably could tell, the Glendales of the world and some of the teams there obviously were rolling and kept their current roster that they had, obviously just rolling through and they were, business as usual. And we were going through more of a reload stage at that time, but we are reloaded.
Yeah, I definitely know what that's like playing rugby. All of a sudden, half the guys don't come out the next year.
Yeah, when you got a roster, you got to go for broke because you just never know how long you're going to have it. Like I said, fortunately enough, we had from 2010 to 2015, 16, we had a pretty strong core group of guys, for a while that were all in their prime. And I think that's, at any level of, any sport, you're trying to get your core guys in the prime for as many years as you can. And luckily enough, we did have that. This spring of 2017, we just kind of, like I said, just kind of reloaded, got hit hard by retirement, guys moving on, guys graduating, guys having kids, getting different jobs, and just took a little bit of a hit there from retirement. But and now that we also reloaded and focused and we're going forward with MLR, There's a lot of guys that thought maybe they were going to hang the boots up or something, that are, definitely rejuvenated, from this going forward, and it's exciting times, So it's definitely, the competition, definitely brings out the competitiveness in everybody, and wants to come back out and play. So it's really, really going in the right direction. We're really excited about it.
So your coaching staff right now for NOLA Gold is Nate Osborne and Todd Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
Todd is also your assistant.
Yeah. So Todd is, so Nate's our head coach. Todd Fitzgerald is assistant GM, assistant head coach, assistant GM as well. Kind of a dual role. Todd is very, very good evaluator. I've been here for years. A Jesuit guy, born and raised right here in New Orleans. Went to the U, and went to Life, and then back here. Been playing for over 20 years. And obviously Nate Osborne, obviously his resume speaks for itself with everything that coming from Australia and been playing for 30 years. With what he's done with with Metro, and coming down here, he's been just an outstanding group we've had so far. Everybody's kind of it's rolling on all cylinders, and we definitely we're definitely all kind of feed off each other. Everybody brings a little bit something to the table for sure. So as Nate is our head coach, Todd's our assistant head coach and assistant GM, myself, and then also with our one of our latest signings that we announced earlier with Hubert Biden's, him being a senior leader. We were looking for kind of one guy that also, front row is obviously a special position, kind of like how they bring offensive line coaches out of retirement every year in the NFL, because you can play football your whole life and have no idea how to coach front O-line. Just like the same thing with the rugby, you can play rugby your whole life and have no idea how to coach front row. So Hubert Biden's what we had. We had a good time with him in Aspen. He came with us and he signed with us, and he's definitely that. Not only a player, but also with 44 caps with Canada and 2 World Cups. He's definitely that senior leader that you can definitely have a good group of guys, 5-6 guys go with him and take the front row, and you can trust him that he's got that. So definitely a outstanding player, obviously still, but also a very good senior leader, captain, kind of front row coach as well. So
awesome.
Yeah,
that's something I'm personally trying to learn, is because in club rugby, at least the levels I've been at, scrummage coaching has been lacking.
Yeah,
and,
right.
I'm a hooker, so.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, that's and that's kind of getting back to what I was saying earlier too, is that there's a specific group of skill sets, and like I said, when we get back to earlier talking about just bringing new guys over, bringing an academy and bringing former football players or whoever it is, any kind of athletes, a lot of times for years in rugby at the amateur level is always like, hey, bring them out. Hey, come on, bring them out. We have touch on Tuesday, Thursday. Well, it's like, that's not really necessarily developing a guy, but, taking a player that is, definitely going to be a prop or definitely going to be a hooker and putting them in with a guy that has, 2 World Cups with 44 caps and been a, international player for years, and literally, showing them the skill set of how to, scrum down and how to play, how to ruck, all that, everything, all the little tricks of the trade of front row. That's how you start developing players, I think, versus just come on out to touch. That's I don't think that's I don't think that's doing it. I think as far as nationwide, I think that's what we should kind of try to channel into individual actual skill sets.
I one of the players you just signed, Sebastian and Colin.
Yeah,
we both saw the game this last weekend, Old Blue versus Glendale.
Right.
I was a bit astounded that he wasn't starting, but I thought it was really awesome. Like, the moment he gets the ball, 10 seconds later he scores.
Yeah, I know coming off the week before, I think he played about a half, and then the week before that he played full 80. I think that I don't talking to him, and I think they're just kind of rotating guys through, getting everybody a break, getting minutes, which is good, fine by me, that he's getting good minutes, but at the same time, if he doesn't have to play the whole 80, that's good up there too, So, but yeah, he's Sebastian's going to be a great player for us. We're very excited to have him, not only just as a player, he said between the lines, but what he brings off the field and just overall character-wise as a person. He's just, he's an outstanding teammate, and do anything for you as far as the teammate-wise goes, and as just an individual person, just a great character guy. On the field, obviously, his skill set is, tremendous. Like you said, he makes, usually when he steps on the field, he's a pretty pretty much instant impact. You got to know where he's at defensively, and when he gets out in the back line too, he can run like a back as well and hit like a forward. So he's a great player for us. We're really looking forward to getting him down here shortly, which will be very shortly, and we're looking forward to going forward with him for years to come.
Awesome. So getting into the front office side a little more, and with the boss, what is the overarching vision you guys got? We had discussed your facility out at Hope Haven, and everyone I've talked to about that since is like, that's really awesome. Partnership, giving back to the local community for a dual use facility as your phase one.
Right. Yeah. Hope Haven right down the road, right next, right on the campus of Archbishop Shaw High School. They've been tremendous working with us. We have a great connection with them. They're, obviously affiliated with the rugby program, the high school rugby program here in Louisiana as well. And yeah, just to tie in everything, like all of our home games, we're going to try to tie in, schedule obviously conflicting and everything, but we're going to always try to tie in a high school game as a curtain raiser, all the way up hopefully to the men's level, and then eventually to MLR as well. So trying to definitely get the whole town, like I said, whole city to buy into it, as far as from the youth level all the way through to high school, and the parents can see that, like, hey, my son can play right here in high school, and then turn around a couple years later and you're playing at the MLR level in the same town on the same pitch. So, and it's also great for Shaw too, as far as having a rugby and football field right there on campus. It's very rare in this area for a Catholic school to have it on their own property. So a lot of times they're sharing fields and stuff. So it's really, really exciting for them. Really exciting for us.
Awesome. So going forward, what style have you recruited for so far without, telling us like all the players that you're going to announce every Tuesday, Thursday?
Well, I'm glad you asked it. I mean, honestly, Aaron, like myself and Nate and Todd just talking, we going, look through, tons of film and, recruiting guys and scouting and going to tournaments and going to camps and going to sevens tournaments over the summer and going to games in the fall. At the end of the day, really, really, excited and happy. All of our guys, when you come down to scouting sometimes, and come down to just building a team, whatever sport it is, so many times there's players that across the board look all the same, as far as, can do this, can run this high, can run this fast, jump this high, everything, even down to rugby skill set as well. But I really tried to dig in and get across the board just outstanding character guys as well. Because when you get to this level, it's not just necessarily putting 15 all-stars out there and trying to go win the championship. It's camaraderie. It's building that chemistry, that cohesiveness. You look at a team like Glendale right now that's been together for years. They're running as a good unit. That takes time. It takes people to drop their egos. And you might have been a captain at one team and you're not a captain at another. So working together, being able to move from lock to 8-man or 8-man to lock, or prop, tight head to loose head, whatever it is. I feel across the board, all of our guys got that, and every single one of them is do what's best for the team, put the team first. They're not, guys that don't need to roll out the red carpet. If our field gets flooded, they'll play on asphalt. So tough guys with good character that are, do it, like I said, do whatever it takes for the guy next to you. And obviously at the same time, between the skill sets, they're all obviously going to be high skilled players. Physically fit, physical, checking all the boxes that you need, for a tough competitive rugby team. But at the end of the day, sometimes I feel like the deciding factor, especially if everything else is equal and everything else is even talent-wise, I think it's really going to come down to who's willing to do the little stuff, who's willing to sacrifice for the team, who's willing to put their egos aside, put their individual accomplishments aside, and just sacrifice for the team as far as character-wise. So I feel like we got that here.
Awesome. Like I had a conversation with Gift and Bailey from Gift Time, and he's like saying, Ryan's going to recruit really strong character and loyal dudes that will just go.
Yeah, right. That's exactly what we're looking for. just go, man. Like you said, like I said earlier, you know, our field is flooded. We'll play on asphalt. You know, if hell freezes over, we'll play on ice. You know, just those guys that are just kind of just want to play, come down here, play at the highest level, and just get tough guys that are competitors. You know, they're just not worried about every single individual accolade. They're not worried about, you know, how many articles they're doing or how many articles they're not doing. They just want to win. They just want to win. They just want to play and compete. And that's what obviously what this game's all about, you know, all the cliche stuff, but it's all true. And it's all everybody, camaraderie, having a team, and where you just 15 guys out on the field, and they're all the 15 best all-stars, and it necessarily equals championships. I don't think that's true. There might happen in some sports, and of course, talent you have to have, but at the same time, there has to be, especially in this sport, there has to be some egos dropped, and there has to be some guys that are just willing to, you know, sacrifice for the guy next to them, and that's kind of what we're all about. So.
Awesome. Then we had a question from our Reddit page. When does the website?
Yeah, so the website's actually in the it should be the exact time. I mean, it's under construction as we speak, and I think actually it'll probably go live. I'll probably let you know, but it probably should be going 100% live. It's gonna be a work in progress, adding our pictures, adding everything. But I would say in the next probably, you know, I would say probably in the next week or two, everything should be live, give or take, maybe a little bit more than that. But we already, I know for a fact, because we already got, you know, some stuff already in the mix and get questions on all the time with bios up and pictures up, and you know, so it's coming along. It's going to be there, should be there shortly.
Nice. That's pretty awesome. One thing, you know, at the beginning, my biggest criticism was like, I mean, I wasn't in the media at the time,
right?
But it's like, why is this floating around as, you know, a briefing sheet, and then it gets posted by our friend Great Cole. This is Texas Rugby, but there was no website or anything.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is going on? I'm not about innuendo after getting, you know, railroaded in the previous rendition of a professional league.
Well, I mean, I can't, you know, I mean, if I were to say one, I can't speak for obviously the whole league and everything, but as a whole, I would say that, you know, probably just trying to just make sure everything is all in order, you know, ducks in a row, and not rush everything, and make sure everything is in order correctly one time the right way. And I will say this from, you know, just talking to the league that we usually talk, you know, our meetings that we talk to, in my 17 years of playing rugby, men's level rugby in the United States is by far, like, you know, just the most positive, best, you know, well-run machine so far that we've had, that I've been a part of, you know, so really, really excited about it. I think they're all doing a fantastic job up at the front office of Major League Rugby, from Dean House to Nick Benson. They're all just doing outstanding. And like I said, I think that they're just making sure that, you know, everything is in order. It's very, very close, and they'll when they're ready, they'll go, and it'll be really successful.
Yeah, I think at this point, there really shouldn't be many complaints about information, because we're light years ahead of, you know, where we were 2 years ago, and with that league. You didn't really know what was going on until 30 days out.
Right.
And, you know, now we know we're getting told who the players are. You have a few teams that are already assembled, and then, you know, you guys are pushing information twice to 3 times a week, and pretty much every team in the league is communicating with the community and the fan base. So I've got no issues at this point, but at the beginning I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, and you know, honestly, some of these guys we've had pretty, you know, we've had good conversations with for, you know, a couple of weeks, maybe even months now, obviously, but wanted to just take our time and make sure we announced it when, you know, when we for sure had our ducks in a row, and I didn't want to backtrack, you know, as a GM, or as, you know, for not just for the league's sake, but also for the player. I didn't want to box somebody in and say, hey, you know, we're making a big announcement, and then, you know, 2 minutes later you got to backtrack. So we're just, you know, just making sure that you got to get it right one time and be professional about it, and you know, go forward from there. And I think the product will, you know, you'll see the product be enhanced because of that. Yeah.
I think the on-field product is going to be really good when you hit, you know, this season. I think because everyone's asking, is it going to be Mitre 10? Is it going to be this level? Is it going to be that? And I just look and see what Glendale's doing, what Houston is doing.
Yeah.
And then when you hit the end of April, when you guys have your first official game that counts towards the standings, unlike the other league, you'll have been together for 3.5 months practicing
right.
every day and about 20 to 25 hours a week. So I'm not worried about the quality. I think the quality of coaching is there, and I think the players, everyone is identified are really good.
Yeah, exactly. So like you just hit it right on the head. You got 3.5 months of training. It's not like these guys that are coming in have never played rugby before. They're all going to come in prime shape and peak shape. They've all obviously have played it at a high level. So you put that in and you mix them in for a couple months, and you get some good test matches in there and get some warm-up games and some test matches and building that camaraderie for 3 months. You look at an NFL training camp, those guys come and go every single year. A whole 90-man roster comes and goes every single year, and they get that training camp. It's only about 5 weeks long from July to the start of the season, about 5.5 weeks. And they have that thing full throttle. So, for 3.5 months for rugby guys, and a lot of these guys, rugby's a small knit unit, so a lot of these guys already know each other or have played together at somewhere along the line at some level. So, like I said, I think you're 100%. I think that 3.5 months of, like I said, some test matches and some good cup series here and there, and also some friendlies mixed in with 3.5 months of just training and bonding at a really, really high level and competitive level and good skill set in a professional environment, not just necessarily, Tuesday and Thursday for an hour, after work. This is going to be a professional set that I think the product in the field will, be enhanced, and it'll be outstanding.
Because you looked at Division I club level, and then you looked at what we had last year,
right? And
I'm just seeing whatever was the end of that previous league is going to be achieved just towards field play, like pretty early. Probably, I know we're looking at probably like 10 total test matches based on season length and getting players out to their national teams and stuff. But I just see that level of play being achieved within the first quarter of the season.
Yeah. Like I said, all these guys are coming in ready to go. A lot of these guys are getting some unbelievably good competition in the fall. We just talked about Sebastian, playing at Old Blue, and Glendale's already playing, and Houston's got some games coming up, and we're gonna have some games early as well, so we can get some test matches in. We got guys coming down from the Midwest that'll be playing. Our Canada boys are obviously playing right now as we speak, or just finished playing. So everybody's coming down here, in the late fall and coming into January and everything like that, ready to go. Your skill set and their fitness level is going to be at top notch, and you just roll in the pattern and start building that, that camaraderie and that cohesiveness that we're talking about, and building that pattern and figuring out what works and what gels and where guys go where. And I think come April, rolling into the matrix season, we're going to, everything will be all systems go. And I'm excited before that too. We're going to have some really, really nice games. Some good cup series or test matches before that we'll have some good ones.
I know of one that you guys are playing.
Okay.
But it's on the Austin Black schedule. So if you go to their website, it shows you guys playing them in a friendly. I think towards the end of January.
Yeah, we got one. The Capitals are also Capital Selects are also going to come down here on January 20th.
Okay.
They're going to come down here to get one, and just as kind of like I said, kind of ending our first phase probably of training camp, and we also will have a really good New Orleans Rugby Hall of Fame dinner that night that a lot of our guys will be able to segue into as well, and build that good camaraderie that we've been talking about with a lot of our old boys. So that'll be, like I said, we got that. That's the environment we're building, and we've been building. That's the environment I've been a part of now for the past 8 years with these guys, and just been, just in awe of, this entire community down here in New Orleans area of all these guys and what they'll do for you, So, and that's been a really, really, big recruiting pitch for our guys that we've been going after, and it's, and it's really held up. You've seen it when we went out to Aspen, and we have, you know, tons of old boys out there in their own team, 35 and older, 55 and older, and then some, you know, and some guys that are higher than their age and that can still play, you know. So, you know, between that and then you mix in with a lot of our MLR guys, it's really exciting times, you know. So, yeah, we're going to have some good ones in January and February and try to get some ones, you know, some really good competition January, February, March, and leading up to the season.
Awesome. I think that about wraps it up. And you said that Nate Osborne is available whenever. So yeah, I'll definitely
yeah, he told me not. He told me not to bash him too hard on here. So I'll let I'll let him go at it, and Todd, and yeah, you know, Nate's been absolutely, you know, like Nate and Todd have been, you know, just outstanding. Like I said, Todd has just been business as usual, keep on like he's been on for the past, you know, how many years here with this club. And the addition of Nate has been, you know, just outstanding. All the guys are rallying around him. All the guys are very excited. Players that are, I think it says a lot, you know, as a player when like, you know, like for a coach's sake, where it's like, you know, I'll play for that coach any day, or I'll play for that player, you know, and, you know, even for a coach's sake, when like, you're going down to New Orleans to play and players want to come with you, or players are coming across the country that want to come with you to play because you're going down there to play. I think that says a lot about you, not only as a coach and what you know is X's and O's wise, of course, but also as a character, you know, because people don't pack up and move. And, you know, maybe you see that in the NFL or at the pro level where there's a lot more money involved and, you know, billions, you know, million, you know, $9 billion organization, you know, like the NFL or something. But, you know, for this level and first year in MLR, and for a guy to come down from Minnesota and come down here and come down to New Orleans, and guys want to come with them all across the country, and they find out that he's coming down with them, I think that says a lot about him as a coach and him as a man and character-wise. So he's a great fit for us, and we're really excited.
Yeah, I think what he's helped build up at Metropolis, I mean, we're seeing it now with their dominance of the Midwest Rugby Premiership Division I.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I remember getting out of the Marine Corps in 07 and, you know, playing for Milwaukee, and, you know, Metro is just, you know, just all of a sudden, you know, just coming up. I'm like, man, and sure enough, now, you know, 10 years later, here we link up and everything that you heard about Nate Osborne. And so, yeah, you're right, 100% right. They have had a really, really good run up there. And, you know, like I said, especially a lot of those guys up in the Midwest that are coming down with him, and players that are coming around that he's coached at the 2015 World Cup and across the country. Guys that want to come and play for him, like I said, you know, that speaks volumes to you know, how you are as a coach and as a man, as a character-wise, you know. So couldn't be more excited to get him down here and ready to go.
Yeah, so I think that about wraps it up on my end. Is there anything you want to say to the audience?
Yeah, well, first thing, you know, thank you, man. I really appreciate it. It's been awesome. I really appreciate all the you know, like I said, helping us get the word out there, helping us get the league going. It's been, like I said, since February coming on board, it's the momentum every day has been getting bigger and bigger and getting closer and closer as well. And guys like, you know, these things like yourself and doing these anytime and everything, that really, really helps out, you know, helps out the league, helps out the players, the coaching staff, everything, you know, to get it out there. So get good buzz, and I appreciate everything you guys are doing. And all the fans out there, you know, watching and listening, everything that I really appreciate. We got, like I said, it's coming. We got a good stuff coming here in the next couple months, and you know, keep looking forward to it, because it's going to be a really good product on the field.
Awesome. We'll talk again, and to the audience, looks like we'll have Nate Osborne on our next episode of Lineouts, and catch the show on Monday night at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific time.
Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thanks a lot, Aaron.
No problem.